Hey everyone, I'm Jen, and I own a veterinary technician relief business.
And I'm Michelle. I own a veterinary technician mobile house call business.
And you are
And you are
listening
listening
to
to
Endless
Endless
Journeys,
Journeys,
the Vet
the
Tech
Vet Tech
Odyssey
Odyssey
podcast.
podcast.
In this podcast, we will be discussing and meeting with credentialed technicians who have created their own path with business ownership within the veterinary space.
Our goal is to help inspire burnt out vet techs before they leave the industry altogether through our stories and the stories of other vet tech business owners.
Well, hello. How are you doing, Michelle?
Good evening now. How are you? It's nighttime. It's bedtime. I love it though.
Dark outside for you right now?
Yeah, it is. It's 7 o'clock here in Michigan, so 3 o'clock your time?
4 o'clock my
Four.
time now.
Yeah, 4 o'clock your time. But I
Yep.
kind of like this nighttime recording stuff. I get all my errands done throughout the day, then I just come in and hang out and talk about med shit with you.
Yeah.
It's like the closing to my day off.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, it's still a little bit light outside for me. It's just almost getting a little bit dark. Sun's going down at the very, very least, but yep. Nice day off. At least, yeah.
A
A little bit
little day of
slower of a day.
rest.
What's
Yeah, a
that?
day of it was a day of rest for you because you worked this weekend, didn't you?
Kind of a day of rest.
So yeah, it's kind of like my day of rest, but then I get to, come on and hang out with you and talk about med shit. So it's like my dessert time almost. Not my nighttime, but my dessert time. So
Nice.
how about you? How's your day going? How's your weekend?
Good. Um, I worked all weekend. So this is my very first full weekend that I've worked since I started my relief business. It was interesting. I had the whole week off and I decided to pick up a couple shifts at one of the emergency clinics that I used to work at years ago. And so I worked morning shift because I just thought maybe it'd be a little bit easier for me. Um, but yeah, it was a lot. And then I messaged Michelle in the middle of my shift and I said, every time I work a weekend shift, it reminds me of why I don't work weekend shifts because I forget after a while like how difficult weekend shifts are at an emergency clinic. They're definitely not the same as weekday shifts at an emergency clinic. So it was tough. It was like not only was it a weekend shift, but also with my pregnancy and everything, it was really tough on my body. So the first night, I was in so much pain. My body hurt so much. And then I had to work Sunday. So I was telling Michelle today, I spent like almost 2 hours at the gym because I was like doing all
Amen.
my stretches and just because it's my lower back and my sciatic right now that hurts so much. And it doesn't matter what I do. Like the poor girls, like I just stand there. I remember I was like holding a cat and I literally was just like lightly lifting the cat to get it into the carrier, and then all of a sudden, I just felt like my sciatic nerve and my lower back just, like, spasm, and I was like, "Oh god," and they look at me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay? Do you need to rest?" Like, and I'm like, "No, it's fine. I just hurt." Like, because it's like they ask, like, "Well, what like, do you need to sit down? Do you need to rest? Like, is there something that you need to do?" And I'm like, "No, this is just me now." Like, my body just hurts. But as long as I do my stretches and as long as I'm moving my body at the gym, I notice a huge difference on my pain. So I was like, I have to go do that. So I did that most of the morning. I did sleep in though. I had to tell Michelle because I've been getting home and I've been in so much pain that I can't even sleep because I hurt so much. So when I finally did sleep, I was like, I gotta sleep in today. But at least that's a nice thing. At least like when we have our days, like where we can be a little bit more flexible for each other. Because then Michelle said, you
Yes.
said that you had a headache today.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I had a little bit of a headache, so when you're like, "Can we start a little bit later?" I was like, "Yes." and now since you've been pregnant and I don't do much on my days off besides just run errands and what have you nots, to me it makes sense if I just get all that stuff done in the morning. That way, because again, you're 3 hours behind me.
Yeah.
That way you're up, I'm already done for the day. So then I can just be open for you whenever. So I think it works out really well, with the Mondays because I'm like, oh, I'm here all day. I've already got my groceries, already went to the human doctor. I'm ready whenever you are. And I just hang out the house, watch TV, clean, take care of admin work stuff. And whenever you're like, I'm ready, I'm like, all right. And that's when we hop on and go. So now we just hop on whenever. So, but
Yeah.
I'm good with rolling with that.
Yeah. At least on the days when it's just me and you, it makes it so that it's a little bit more chill and flexible. And so that makes it nice because I just am not like I just don't move the same as I used to. Like I'm not as quick as I used to be and I just like it sucks. Like I used to be able to like get things done in a timely manner, but lately it's just like my body it just moves so slow now. But I think that just it I think it's all a part of it. So I just want to make sure that I don't hurt myself more than anything. But yeah. So it was really nice. I'll say I think I had 10 days off
Oh,
from Christmas,
it's
Christmas
nice.
Eve. So I had Christmas Eve off and then I had all last week off and then I worked. So it's like I really can't complain that much. Like, yeah, I worked a rough weekend shift, but I also had 10 days off. So,
Yeah. And when you think about it too, it's like when you are off for a while, because I think I was off for 8 days during Christmas. That first day back is always rough. I know when I came back Tuesday, I was like, my first client, I was like, you're the first client I've seen in 9 days. So bear
well,
with
and I,
me. I was like, just not, and I loved her, but I was just like kind of like tired and a little sore. And I'm like,
right.
I
You just
really
like,
don't want to be out today.
like your brain is just in a whole different mode. And I honestly like I don't know why, but it's like when I have that many days off, I almost get nervous when I go back because I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I forgot how to do everything? What if I'm not very good? What if I lost it all? And then I do it, and then I'm like, why would I even think that? I don't understand. But it's just like we're just in a different mode.
It's because in vet med, we're always scared we're gonna fail. Like, no matter what we do, we're
Maybe.
always scared of, like, not performing at our top peak, or we're not gonna be as fast or as quick or as on top of it because we're just so damn competitive in this industry. I bet that's your brain kind of taking over, or not even your brain taking over. It's that, what's it called, Jen? Help me out. Old lady brain fog. It is, God, what is it called?
What?
Syndrome.
Oh, imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome, yes. No, I
Yeah.
have old lady brain fog.
Okay.
Um, I think it's the imposter syndrome that's kinda coming in on that because we were talking earlier about some of the stuff you have done, I have never ever done. Like, you were telling me about a blood transfusion. I'm like, "I've never even seen one." I'd wanna come watch just for the funsies of it, but for you, it's like an everyday part of work. So it's just fascinating how high you take your license. So I can imagine at that level, like, it's so much and it's so important that you'd feel that coming back from having 9 days off. Like, what happens if I forgot this? I forgot this. I would imagine the brain just kinda does that.
Yeah, and I did relief for a clinic that I don't regularly relief at. This is a clinic that I worked for gosh, almost a good 10 years, but I don't work there regularly. And they do things a lot differently than one of the clinics that I do work regularly for. So, I think there's a lot of that too, where it's like, and like, cause I was opening this weekend and this is a clinic that when I worked there, they were open 24/7 and now they're not. And so I like walked in and it was like, it's very weird and surreal. And it's like, I'm opening. And I was like, how do I open? I don't know how to do that. Like, and it's like, they're like, there's going to be an alarm and you have to set off a code. And then it's like, you just panic and you're like, oh my gosh, what if I don't put in the code right? I don't know. Just like stupid little things. And yeah, it was fine. Everything was fine. And like, I had a really good weekend. And then I was talking to my husband and my husband was saying, cause it was like, as tough as those days were physically, cause they were tough and mentally. Um, it, I have a lot more client interaction at this clinic than at one of the other clinics that I do relief for. And so that in and of itself, when it's mentally exhausting and physically exhausting, it's so, so much. But my husband even said, he's like, I know that this is a lot. It's a little bit tougher on you in certain aspects when you work at this clinic. He's like, but I can tell that you enjoy it more than some of the other clinics that you work regularly at. He's like, because you really just enjoy the people. And it's like, he's like, I can see a huge difference in you when you come home. So, yeah. So, it's like always reminding you of like, you know, how do you feel when you get off of work? You're tired, but if the people that you work with, if they if you don't feel good about the people that you're working with, that makes a huge, huge difference, and that almost takes a bigger toll. Because he's like, at least, he's like, yeah, you came home and you were really hurting and you were venting about the day of one of the clients and some of the cases that you saw. He was like, but you're not complaining about the people that you're working with because you love the people that you work with over there. And he's like, I can just see a huge difference in you compared to when you come home working from other clinics. And I was like, huh, it's not something that I have ever really thought about, but there's good things and bad things, you know?
Yes. With every
So,
clinic.
mhm.
Yeah. And
Yep.
I feel like that's something to note too is like when you're at a job and your spouse is like on the outside telling you, I always feel like that's such a big thing.
Right.
Like, I know my husband, there's been a few times where he's been like, you need to quit. Like, you need to
Yeah.
fucking quit because if you don't quit, I'm going to make you quit because I can't handle your clinic. Like, there's a
Yeah.
couple clinics like that. My husband actually chewed out one of my DVMs and hung up on him and made me quit when we first met.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You might have, but I don't I don't know.
So I don't think so. Yeah, it was like a bazillion years ago. Like it was me and him were dating for like 2 months. And there was a miscommunication when I had a family member pass away. I did call the receptionist. She was supposed to pass it on. I
And
was in
she did.
Kentucky. I don't think she did, but she was cool. I love this girl. Like she's so funny. Like, so I know it wasn't like out of malice or anything. Trust me. Like
Okay.
she
Probably
was
just busy.
exactly. It probably was busy. And so I was in the mountains of Kentucky, because that's where we're at. It's literally hillbillies. And there was no reception, so they couldn't get a hold of me. We came back to Michigan. I had a bunch of emails from my doc, who was also the practice owner, and voicemails, and he was pissed. He thought I was like a no call, no show. So I was at Alex's apartment and I was like, Doc, I'm telling you, I told so and so. And he was like, is so and so your boss? I'm like, no. He's like, "Who's your boss? I'm your boss." And I had him on speaker, and Alex was like, "Oh, no, you're not." And the exact wording I can't remember, but it was something along the lines of, "Well, you were her boss, but not anymore because she's gonna be turning in her keys tomorrow. That's it. You're not gonna talk to her like that." And he hung up the phone on him. And we were dating for like literally maybe 2, 3 months at the time. Like we were a brand new couple. And I remember like
No, but
I
that
was
says a
in the
lot.
yeah, yeah, he didn't care who he was. My boyfriend, now husband, just picked up the phone and said his piece and hung up, and he was like, "You're done." I'm like, "Okay."
I
He's like,
like
"You'll
that
find another
though.
job." He was like,
Yeah.
"You'll find another," and I did. I bounced back. I found another job very quickly. But yeah, that was one of those clinics where every day I came home upset, sad, and not even
Mhm.
because of cases, because he was a very brutal doctor to work for. I only worked for him for, God, maybe 3 months. It was not very long. And that's one of those like gaps in my resume that I'm just like,
Yeah.
um, and he took a thriving 6 doctor practice. He bought it out and drove everybody out to where he was the only doctor. So, constant there's constant in, out technicians. And they had, after I left, I had found out they had a reputation. And that doctor had a reputation of being a hothead and yelling at his employees. So, and everybody hated it there. Everybody hated him. We all liked each other. But yeah, when your spouse tells you on the outside,
Right.
this is either a good situation or a bad situation, they see the parts of you that nobody else does. So I feel like their insight is really good.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It's important. I actually don't work again until next Saturday. I picked up another weekend shift at the emergency clinic that I regularly
Okay.
do relief work for. But it's just one day. It's just one day. I'm really cutting down to about like, honestly, for the rest of this month, it's only about 1 day a week, which at first I panicked a little bit about that, and then I was just like but even, like, my husband's like, "It's just, like it's physically hard on your body right now, and you need to take care of yourself." He's like, "So if 1 day a week is all that you can do, then that's fine." And so, mentally, it's really hard for me, and I think anybody who's I mean, obviously, you know me, Michelle, and anybody who has been listening to the podcast regularly or anybody who knows me knows that I'm kind of a go, go, go person. And I love to be busy. I love to keep my mind mentally stimulated and I enjoy working and I like making money. So slowing down like this, it has been really hard for me, but I think it is what's best at this time. So I am going to just I'm just gonna do it. And hopefully, like, and everything will be okay. My husband keeps telling me that everything's gonna be fine. You don't have to worry about anything. Stop worrying. And I'm like, oh, but I do. So, but hopefully, it's just it's just that transition, kind of just like what we talked about on the last episode. Is I think it is what's best for me right now, is to just slow down a little bit. So,
I
and then
agree.
yeah, yeah. So, what about you? How was your work week?
I'm we were preparing for this episode. I was looking back. I'm like, "Ooh, did I think juicy to talk about?" I don't. It was actually another, like, quiet week where nothing rumbled, but I did have a reflection. I was gonna make a TikTok about this, but I was like, "No, it's way too long, so I'll save it for the podcast." Because I think that this is an interesting lesson for everybody, and it's not on our show notes, but it occurred to me after. So if you don't see this in here, that's why. Because I was like, "You know what? I need to talk about that lady," because I drove past her house last week and I forgot all about her. And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember her. That bitch. Yeah. I'm gonna make an example out of her because she, like I say, everybody deserves, a purpose. We all serve a purpose, right? That's the way I look at it. And she came up in my mind, and I'm like, let's just talk about her real fast. Because again, valuable lesson here. And so, what brought me back to this client is when I was driving past her house earlier this week, and I thought about her. And this goes back to when you first start your business, you don't know what boundaries are yet. You don't know you do not know how to spot red flags. You're so flexible, you're so willing to please. And then when you finally like grow a set of balls and you say, "That's it, I'm done." I had like one of those moments. It was one of those first times I had those moments. It was hard for me, but then I was like, no, she totally deserved it. But I was still tactful. But to make a long story short, she was one of my first referrals ever from a very good client. With referrals, I always treat them differently than other clients because I know that they're coming from a good client, so they get a little bit more spoiled simply because they're referral. And I just, want to make sure I keep that good mojo going. And my very first appointment with her, I remember I had her for like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and, that's how old this is I was still seeing evening appointments at the time, and she called me, I don't know, about 11, and she's like, "Hey, can you actually get me in at about 1 o'clock?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, sure, I can do that." So I, seen her at 1 o'clock. I don't think I had very many other appointments that day, that's why I was so able to, like, move around easy, is I think I just had a few appointments that day.
Mhm.
That should have been, like, my very first red flag, but I didn't recognize it because I was so new, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, we'll just move you around."
Yeah.
For about 6 to 8 months, I saw her very regularly. I could never get her to pre-book, though. I'd always try to get her to pre-book, but she would always reach out to me on a regular basis, "Hey, when you can stop by and do Rover's nails," and I'd always get her in within a couple of days. Well, the problem is after 8 months, I was starting to book out by a week, by 2 weeks, by 3
Yeah.
weeks. Yeah, so I was starting to book out, and up until this point, she was always so pleasant, very nice, professional, my typical kind of client that I do like to work with. Well, she texted me and we did at our last appointment, actually. I'm drawing back to all the memories. At our very last appointment, I remember I told her, "Mrs. Smith, I'm starting to book out about 3 to 4 weeks now. I'm starting to put people on set schedules. I really think that we should book now. That way you can get Rover on when you're ready. Because I know you're going to want to see me in, 4 to 6 weeks." And she's like, "No, I don't think he'll be ready, but I'll call you. I'll call you when I need you." I said, "Okay." I walked out the door. Fair is fair.
You warned
Then
her, you told her, and she said no. Gave her the
I
opportunity.
yep, I remember I gave the opportunity, and I remember thinking it was kinda weird because she is organized, she's a professional, so I thought it was kind of odd, but she did message me and she was like, "Hey, can you get me in this week? His nails are driving me nuts, I really need to get them done." And I looked through my schedule and I was like, "I got nothing." I'm like, "I'm so sorry." I was like, "I don't have anything for about 3 weeks. I cannot get you in." I was like, I'll put you on a cancellation list." I was like, "If something pops up, I promise you I'll reach out to you first." Because again, she's always been a good client, so I was willing to work with her. I told her to be my first call. And that's when her response was, "Well, if you don't get me in this week, I'm just gonna go somewhere else." Totally out of left field. I was not expecting that from her. And at that point, I was like, "Bitch, bye. Like, go somewhere else." I'm, and it's so funny how, from my point of view, it went from her being really nice and again, always nice, very respectable, to instantly like backing me into a corner the second she didn't get what she wanted. And when I drove past her house, I was like, "Ew," it kind of put a salty taste in my mouth. I was like, "Oh, let's talk about her." So I believe it's one of those instances of like when you're new and you're starting out, you may not
So she
recognize red
never
flags.
she never reached back out to you ever after that?
No, actually, no, she didn't. Never
Oh,
saw her again.
well,
Nope, never saw her again. But the cool part is the lady who referred me to her, I still kept on seeing her for 2 years up until she moved like 4 hours away. And
okay.
so, yeah, so I still kept my original referral, which is always like the most important part to me.
Right.
And that's the scary part about referrals is if something doesn't work out with you and let's say their best friend, obviously they're going to talk. And what happens if that
Yeah.
ruins your relationship with your previous client? So, yeah, I tiptoe around referrals very, very carefully.
Right.
And
That makes
with
sense.
her, yeah, with her especially because I'm like, I really love her friend who referred me and I don't want to lose her. And in fact, I did not lose her. So, you
Okay.
know, but yeah, so that was like kind of like a bad story. But again, I'm like, I think it makes a good example of, like, hey, there is a red flag I missed in the very beginning, which is, hey, can you expedite me up 4 hours right now, please? Never wanting to pre-book and not taking my advice when I told her you need a pre-book. Even though on the surface, once again, nice, polite, nice lady, but just kind of wanted her way when she wanted her way, how she wanted her way. And once she didn't get it, she threatened to go somewhere else and I called her bluff and that was that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder who's she going to now. So yeah. Anyway, the good thing, like the one major positive thing that happened this week with work was one of my favorite clients got professional photography done for her pets and her wife. And the photographer just so happened to be one of my close friends who does pet photography. She met the photographer through me. And so I went to her house. I was like, "Oh, yeah, you got your pictures done by Hannah. How'd they turn out?" And she's like, "Oh, great. I have one I want to show you." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, let me see it." And it was like this card. It was like a card that you open up. And she's like, "Okay, so here's the outside." I was like, "Uh-huh." And then she flipped it to the inside. She's like, "Here's my favorite photo." And I looked at it. I'm like, "Oh, it's so cute." And all of a sudden I realized we were holding a sonogram. I'm like, "Oh, you guys are having a baby?" And she's like, "Yeah, we're really excited to tell you." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I didn't know." And I was like, "Wait a minute, Hannah knew and she didn't tell me?" I'm like, "Kudos for her for being a professional."
Right.
Like, I I figured she would have snitched and told me, "Hey, guess what? Your favorite client is pregnant." But what made it was so special to me is they actually showed me the day before they posted to social media. They're like, "Yeah, we wanted to
That's
show you before."
nice.
I'm like, "I made it to like the pre-rounds, the people you tell first." I'm like, "So I'm in the pre-round before the social media public?" No, that just oh my god, I was trying so hard not to cry, because 'cause I'm sure when you announced you're pregnant when you started to, like, you tell your close friends, your close
Right.
family, and you kinda work your way out, and then, like, the final ones where you announce it on social media, and that's probably
Right.
what you did,
Where
right?
it's like,
That's
yeah, like
yeah.
people that know of me and that I still happen to still have on my social media. It's kind of like, yeah, everyone else, like, hello, we are pregnant. But yeah, all my important people, they all had to know beforehand. You have to tell your important people beforehand. So it's a privilege.
It was. I was like Oh my god, I made it before social and literally the next day is when they announced it. So then, of course, I called the photographer, Hannah, and I'm like, "You didn't tell me my favorite client who you met through me was pregnant? You've been keeping the secret since October?" And she was like, "Yeah, Michelle, I kinda had to." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Good for you." I'm like I'm like, "Good
Mhm.
for you." And
Yeah,
so, yeah.
yeah. And then it's like even just being pregnant, like it's like now I'm finally kind of starting to show. And like me and my husband too, like we keep making that joke where I'm like, do you think people think I'm just gaining weight or do you think people actually think that I'm pregnant? And I even told him, I was like, okay, so I must actually look pregnant because I have at the gym today, I had somebody who honestly I've never really even spoken to, but it's always just like somebody you see all the time and then you just nod and you're just like, hey, what's up? Like, no other name, nothing. He walked by me today and we made eye contact. He smiled at me, he nodded, and then as he's walking by, he's like, "Congratulations." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." I was like, "Okay, I think people know now."
No, yeah.
So it's like you gotta get to that point too, where it's like you're starting to show, and then you're like, "Well, I gotta tell people now." So
And I
can
think
you give
she's
her
at that
like,
point.
you said like, as in October, right?
Yes,
Because
so
that's when
my
I
friend took her
found out.
photos. She's doing
How far along is she?
I think they're doing May right along with you. I
Okay, so
think
yeah, it's around
yeah.
the same time.
Yeah, I think she's about the same time roughly. So, yeah, I was so gleefully excited for them, like,
That's
oh my
so
gosh.
awesome.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, so I think, yeah, she's right along and she always wears, baggy shirts and shorts, and so I mean, I
It's hard
wouldn't
to tell.
notice.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell, yeah, and when I meet somebody, I don't go scoping for a baby
I
instantly,
know.
I'm usually looking at their face or in my case, their feet, like, I'm always looking at the human's feet all day, so,
Right.
I didn't notice but yeah, I think they're doing May and I'm really happy for them, and it just,
Awesome.
means a lot to me that, one of my closest friends who, was able to share that moment with them
Yeah.
and that they shared it with me and then they shared it to everybody else. And then she gave me some cookies. I'm like,
Oh, that's
"You
so
are
nice.
a unicorn." I'm like, "Oh my God, if every client was like them." Oh yeah, there's wonderful. So that was like just meant a lot to me this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always so nice.
That is it for me. Nothing else interesting. Same old, same old. I'll be working Saturday this week.
Oh,
I'll
see?
be
Look at
working.
that.
Yeah, we're both doing some weekend work. Yeah, because I took everybody who's on New Year's Day. I took them and moved them over. Yeah, because I had to find a makeup route for them. And so I moved them over to Saturday so I could have New Year's Day off. So
Yeah.
now I'll be working Saturday, but there's not that many clients. There's like maybe 7 on there. I should be in and out within like 4 hours.
Yeah. And the way I see it is like even with my weekend and then my Saturday shift, it's like it's not like I do it all the time. Like it's once in a blue moon. It's not that big of a deal. So
Same.
it'll be
Yep.
fine.
Once in a blue moon. Yeah, once in a blue moon. But it's so hard to leave when Alex is here, like, cooking breakfast
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
dogs are, like, yawning, and I'm like, "It's cold
And
outside," and I
in
gotta
your
come
head
here.
it's a weekend and you're like, it's
Uh-huh.
just any other day, right? And it's
It's just
like,
any
well, it's
other
the
day.
weekend.
Yep, I'm like, "It's a weekend." But,
Yeah.
yeah. Luckily, though, they come around once in a blue moon, so,
Right.
yeah.
You'll
But
get through
I'm
it.
ready for
It'll
it.
go fast.
Yeah, I'm working a whole 5 days this week, like,
Gosh, yeah.
oh, I
That's
know.
a long week.
It is! I'm like,
Yeah.
"Shit, I might actually hit 35 hours this week, we'll see." I
Wow.
might do it. Maybe, yeah. I'm almost working a full-time job now like a real adult. Perfect. So this week is a fun week and we're trying something different. For time's sake, we're kind of splitting this into two separate episodes. But right now, today we're going to be going over my client onboarding form, and we're going to break down each part of why I do what I do and why I have certain things and client expectations. If you're driving, I wouldn't listen to it now. If you want to take notes, pull over and listen to it later on. But I'll try to get through it as fast as possible. And coming up soon, we'll be doing Jen's as well, but we might actually do Jen's before mine. But we're both recording our each episode of where we'll be discussing our contracts. Jen's going to be discussing what she does as a relief tech, and today we'll be discussing what I do as a mobile tech to prep my clients. So they're going to be two really good episodes, I think, packed with a lot of information that are going to help people that are kind of new or curious who are wanting to start this out. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we are going to start talking about Michelle's onboarding form and what she specifically does.
So I got it laid out step by step from when the new client reaches out to me and the questions I start to ask and the order I ask them in.
Okay.
And I will tell you this, Jen, when I first started, I didn't even ask any questions. I think I was like, so do you got any food allergies? I'll probably bring some peanut butter and cheese with me. And then over the course of several years, I'm like, oh, this happened. I need to put this in my onboarding form so it doesn't happen again. So, like, every single one of these, let me tell you, there's a reason why. It's just when you start out, you don't think of these things, but as you
Right.
go and stuff happens, you're like, oh, I can't let this happen again. So it's just one of those things where I've built it over the years and I'm still adding on to it. I just added something on not even a couple months ago when we interviewed Elise. I added something on.
Okay.
And that was just recently. Like she gave me the idea and I was like, ooh, I'm putting that on my onboarding form. Thank you.
Oh,
So you're always learning and you're always going to evolve. But if you're just beginning, here's what took me about 4 years to create. So hopefully this will help. All right. So the first time a new potential client reaches out to you, and we start discussing, we find a day, let's say, okay, we found our day. Um, and the first thing I do is I just ask them, do you have any time constraints that day? And when I tell them that, I always tell them I will be by in the morning or the afternoon. Because I don't give anybody an exact time frame. I know I went over there several times, so I'll try to keep it brief. When I onboard them, I say, if you have any time constraints, let me know 48 hours prior. Right now, I have you for the morning or afternoon, but the night before, I will give you a 2-hour window time frame. And the day of, I'll give you 2 status updates as I go. I just need for you to let me know anything now. That way I can work around it. But if something comes up between now and your appointment, you need to let me know 40 hours in advance. It's my rule of twos. I'll give you a 2-hour window time frame. I will give you 2 updates as I make my way, but you in return got to give me a 2-day notice if something changes.
okay.
So, yep. And I do it that way because I could get a new client between now and then. And if I've already promised the original client, yeah, I'll be there between 2 to 3. And this gal needs 2 to 3 for a legit reason, like she has work or gotta pick up her kids, but I already promised the other lady who doesn't have any time constraints that 2 to 3 slot, then I fucked all of us at that point. I can't get
Hmm.
this other client in, or I have to ask the other gal, "Hey, do you mind if I change you?" So and that's what I was doing in the beginning, and it after a while, it was creating a big jam. So that's when I started saying, "Hey, I'll be by in the morning or afternoon. Let me know if anything comes up, but the night before, I'll let you know a 2-hour time frame, and I'll let you know when I'm coming." So that way I'm setting up success. I'm letting them know I'm not just gonna leave you in the blue. Right now, I'm definitely not gonna be there anytime after 3, and I definitely won't be there anytime before 9. I'll be there somewhere in the middle with a 2-hour time frame, and I'll be in communication with you. So I lay out the map a little bit. That way, I can change the schedule how I see it and how it makes the most fuel efficient route for me to go. Because in this business, if you want to be successful, you have to be fuel efficient. You have to be smart about your traveling. You can't zigzag all across town. You're not going to make profit. You have to work the schedule that makes sense based on a client's location.
Hmm.
So that's why I don't give time frames. That's why the first thing I do is I clear it with them and I ask them just like that. Do you have any time constraints? Once they say no, I say okay. So that's why I got the rule of twos.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. See, these are all things that I've always been curious about of like how you do that and how you plan your days and because it seems so complicated to me. But I think that's great. Like not giving them an exact time because I feel like me, I would do that. I would do it the exact time. But then
Mm,
the way you just described it, it's like, oh my gosh, it makes so much better sense to do it that way. And you give yourself a little bit more flexibility as well when you do that. But
exactly.
and as long as you're always in communication with them and they know, like, then it's okay. So that's great.
Yep, yep.
That-
You set them
That's
up
smart.
for yeah, the communication line. And like Jen said, yeah, I was doing that in the beginning and I was burning myself. I was burning the clients. I lost some good ones on the way. I know I did. So yeah, hopefully this will help people be like, yeah, that's actually a good idea. And I'll tell you what, I've had clients tell me, yeah, it is just fine. because Comcast consumers, they say they'll be there from
Yeah.
8 AM to 8 PM. So
And
when you
then
give them a
never show
2-hour time frame and they yeah,
and they never
and they
show
don't
up.
call you.
They don't even show up. No.
No. And they don't call you. They call you when they're like 5 minutes away, like, "Yeah, I'm in your subdivision." Like,
Yeah.
"Okay, great. I'm in the shower because I didn't know when you were coming." Like, so when we're up against that in the grand scheme of things, most people aren't gonna be too concerned about having a 2-hour window time frame and knowing that you're gonna give 2 status updates.
Yeah.
And the few times I've had people have issues with that, I'm like, "Okay, we're not gonna work out. Then I'm sorry. These are my rules. If it's not good enough, go to somebody else. See ya." So yeah, I think that yeah, it took me a while to figure that one out too. So yeah, that's the first thing I do is I clear the schedule, I get it set up for arrival times, and then moving on from that, I go over payments that are accepted. I make sure that's at the top of the list is the payments because I can't tell you how many times I've shown up and people are like, "So, I got a check." And I'm like, I don't take checks. What I don't do is I don't list the forms of payment that I don't take because then I feel like people may read that and just be like, oh, she takes checks when it says I do not take checks. So I only list what I do take. That way it's there in the open and it's at the top. And then the recent part that I just added in is payment needs to be rendered at time of service. And that is thank you, Elise from Felix and Fido because that was not in my onboarding form. I just assumed everybody would pay me on time, right? Like, but then I've some people will just want to, oh, can I bill you later? No, no, I don't send a bill later. Like, no.
Right, and that's even something that vet clinics have on their onboarding form now. I mean, for sure for urgent care and emergency, I'm assuming for general practice too now. It's just something that you have to put on there.
Yeah, yeah, because I feel like some people are like, oh yeah, you'll send me a bill later. It's like, no, I want my money now. Like, I don't know you. We just met today. I
Right.
don't trust you. Make sure to now because of that, I make sure to put that in there. I've had to fire one client over that because every month, like clockwork, she would wait 2 to 3 days and I'd have to chase her down and chase her
Yeah,
down.
you
And I was
talked
like,
about that.
yeah, I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. So yeah, after we chat with Elise, I'm like, oh, I need to, yeah, yeah. I'm like, thank you. And I think you were gone from it, but I was like, thank you so much. This helps and put this in my contract. Like, I don't know why I waited till now, but it's it's in there now. Like, it's just little things like that that you kind of don't think of in the moment when you're creating your business. Like, these situations can happen. So, after we talk about scheduling, after we go over my payments that are accepted, I then very specifically inquire about food allergies and I make sure I clear out the whole house. My wording on that one is do you, anyone else, or any of your pets in your household have any food allergies that I should know about? I like to have you do a slight hold and dispense treats while I'll trim, dash, I'll bring the treats. So I'm doing two things in there. Number one, I'm ruling out any allergies for the humans, for the dogs, anybody else inside the house. I need to know because I'm bringing treats. Dual purpose if they read it, it says, I need you to do a slight hold and dispense treats while I trim. If you're going to have the owner be present or hold in any way, shape, or form, listen to the story because this is how I got that in there. I was not telling people for the first year that they were going to have to be there. And I met this one guy. He was really nice. His wife, I did all the onboarding with her, made the appointment. This was maybe a year and a half in my business. I was having him hold. He was cool, the dog was cool, and then the wife called, he was like, "Oh, yeah, it's the missus, let me answer the phone," and he was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm just helping the nail lady right now," and I remember her yelling through the phone, "You're fucking helping?" And I'm like, "Oh, oh," and even he looked at me awkwardly, I looked at him awkwardly, I'm like, "Oh," like, but that was on me, because never once did I say, "You'd be helping," right? So that was a moment where I put it into my onboarding form. You will be doing a slight hold and dispensing treats while I trim. That was so awkward, Jen. Oh Lord.
I
But
can kind
I was in the fault.
I mean, I guess I can kinda see that, but I mean, also, like, it seems obvious to me. that they would be helping at least a little bit. And I will say, owners love being involved.
They do. They do.
They like be
Most
I
do.
mean, even at the vet clinic, they get angry when we're like, "Okay, the technician or the assistant is gonna be holding your pet for this." And they're like, "Well, I can hold them." So, I guess that is not something that I would have thought of either, to have to tell people
Yeah,
that, because it just seems like it's a given. Like, your pet isn't just gonna sit there pretty.
you're exactly right. It is just, but you'd be surprised at the amount of people I've had. Even after I add that in, they're like, "Do you still need me here?" I'm like, "Yes, I need you
What?
here." Oh, yeah, you'd be surprised. Like, it's still not uncommon for it to happen at least, I don't know, maybe 1 out of every, like, 10 to 15 new clients. And I put this on maybe, like I said, about 2 years ago, 3 years ago
That is
now, where they're
shocking to
like,
me.
I know, and I'm like, "Well, per my onboarding form, it does say you will be doing a slight hold and dispensing treats while I trim, so yes, I need you here. Go
Yes.
sit down on that couch." But yeah, you'd be surprised how many people, I think it's because we come into their homes. They think that we have, and some of the girls in the group do, where they have like, the
A
hoist
helper.
and they, chain them up to the, doorway and stuff, or they have a van, which is something I get into later on in my contract. But yeah, there's a lot of people who are like, I have meetings.
I guess groomers do it by themselves.
Yep, yep. Groomers
But
do it by themselves.
I
So
don't know, I like the fact that you have the owner's help. That's what I
yeah.
would do.
Yeah, I like it. And I don't have to buy the equipment either.
Yeah.
And I utilize furniture. I utilize furniture to the fullest extent. Like ottomans are my best friend. I love a sectional couch. Like those are beautiful. Like when it comes to like positioning me and the pet. And I have lots of demonstration videos on my TikTok about it because it's kind of interesting when you come into a home. It's like, where am I going to be? Where's my location? Like I instantly start
Mhm.
looking around for the best setup now versus before I'd be like, yeah, so we can do it in the garage next to your 1960 something car. Sure. Now I'd be like, no, we're not going there. We're doing it right here. But yeah, I think a lot of people at home, they're like, well, they have meetings scheduled, they're working. So they think that, I'm like a maid. I'm just going to come in and do it without them. So yeah, even after that, I still get people who are like, you need me? I'm like, yes, I need you.
Interesting.
Yeah. 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 It's interesting. Yeah. But in the vet clinic, like, I need a hold. But with me, they're like, I got more important stuff to do. So yeah, if you are going to be asking them to restrain and give treats, you need to let them know that. Learn that lesson from me
Okay.
because that was an awkward moment between me and that husband, that wife, because he knew I heard her, and I'm like, oh, and I didn't let them know I didn't have a leg to stand on. So that's when that went into the contract, like right after that. So after we get that stuff out of the way, I like to set the scene. This is how I tell my owners I need things set up and why I need things set up. I got a portion for cats. I got a portion for dogs. And they're both very simple. Cats are a little bit more complicated because, like, Jen, cats are,
Hmm. Yeah.
how cats are.
They're not as
So,
easy.
yeah, they're very special in my contract. They got a whole big old section versus the dogs. Yeah, cats. I've had a lot of wild cat shit go on. Okay, so for dogs, for me, the easiest way that I found is I do ask that all the dogs are wearing their normal collars or leashes before I arrive. And if you have multiple dogs, they also need to be separated prior to my arrival, and we will do them one at a time. If I walk into that house and I see 2 dogs staring at me, I already know that they didn't listen to me. And the first thing I do is I'm like, one of them needs to go. Like, I better be facing just one dog if you have multiple dogs. The biggest reason is Jen, you have multiple dogs. I have multiple dogs. They
Yeah.
rev each other up.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? They're like, one barks, the other one barks, and the one runs around, the other one runs around. They work themselves up in a
Yeah.
herd. So if we have them separated before I arrive, the scene is not as chaotic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I personally would advise to separate the dogs. With the collar and the harness, I just find it easier to have them on prior to when I arrive because a lot of dogs who normally don't wear them, they're like, oh my God, I'm going for a walk. I'm going for a car ride.
Yeah.
And then they rev themselves
Yeah.
up. Yep.
Yeah. My
So,
dogs don't wear collars.
yep.
They're always naked, and they know that when they get their collars on that they're going somewhere.
So they get excited, right? And they get revved up.
Mhm.
They start running around.
Like
Yes.
crazy.
Exactly. Yep. Which is why I have that rule. The collars must be on. That way they're not like, oh, yes, great. I'm going for a pop cup. Like, now
Right.
you're getting your nails done, buddy. Um, yeah. And then also, too, it's just, it saves time because there has been some times where owners have been like, oh, I need a collar. Oh, shoot. I think it's with the Christmas decorations downstairs. Next, thing you know, they're
Gosh.
running around looking for collars. And I'm sitting there like waiting with precious moments. So I'm like,
But it's
all right,
also
I'll be looking
easier
for
too to just, like, keep an eye like, to just, like, keep a hold on them too. I'm assuming that's also why.
Yep, yep. So I do. I have the owners use the collar just to hold on to them.
Mhm.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, like the owner will be holding on to the dog with one hand and then feeding treats with the other hand,
Okay.
like this. And then I work around the animal. And so, yeah. So it's just a slight hold.
Can I ask a question right now?
Anything.
Okay.
That's why we're here.
Do you ever worry about the dog potentially biting the owner or you? Like, have you ever had to muzzle a dog or anything for nail trims, or have you ever been concerned about that? Because I know for me, I am always just concerned, like dogs, if they don't have their feet touched easily or any of those things, or like just liability purposes of like if the owner gets bit or anything like that. Has that ever been a worry for you?
Absolutely, every day of my life. So, okay, I highly, highly recommend to become Fear Free certified because you're going to learn a lot about body language and when they're upset. And when I first meet a dog, while I'm trimming their nails, I don't take my eyes off their head. Like our first interactions, the way I do is I like pick up their feet and I'm like, okay, there, and I'm like, okay, there's a nail. And then I watch them while I'm trimming. I'm
Okay.
always watching their head, their ears, their back. I'm watching the owner's face because I need to see if that owner's nervous. Because if they're
Mhm.
nervous, like I don't know if it's going to work out. Like I look for all that because that is my biggest fear is an owner getting bit. Like
Right.
me, I'm not so worried about it, but it's funny because when I mentioned to an owner, I'm like, oh, I'm worried about you getting bit. They're like, no, I'm worried about you getting bit. They're always more worried about me. I'm always more worried about them. So I am always watching them, especially like the first several visits until I get to know them. Once I get to know them, I mean, I'm I don't pay as much attention, because I'm like, "Yeah, I've been seeing Rover for 3 years now. I
Right.
know her. I
Right.
trust her." But those first couple visits, oh, I do more watching and observing than I do trimming, and I always let the owners know, like, my first visit, it's always a touch and go thing. It's more or less an observational, like, I am trimming the nails, but I'm not getting them short. I'm not doing my best work on the nails. I'm doing my
You're
best work
almost
looking at the
just
dog.
experimenting just to see how they're reacting to it.
Oh, yes, exactly, and I tell
Okay.
them that every time, like and
Okay.
I tell them it's like dating. That's what I literally tell my owners, I'm like, "It's like we're dating." It's like, "Right now, I'm on my best behavior with your dog. I'm not trying to get too close to them. I'm not trying to touch them. But just like dating, you kind of push your boundaries with each date to see how far you can go. Can
Okay.
I kiss them this date? Can I hug them this date? Can I sleep with them on this date? That's what I'm doing with your dog is I'm
Okay.
just going to get closer and closer each time. And
Yeah.
they seem to kind of like correlate that in their head that yes, I'm getting comfortable with them. And over time, I get the nails shorter and shorter and I
Oh,
push my luck. The first time, it's just a lift and snip essentially. I just kind of like tip, tip, tip and until I really figure out the dog. So yeah. Yep. And by the way, that is another reason why you need liability insurance, everybody. And if you have any questions, send us a message and I can send you a list of companies that give general liability insurance for businesses that I know have given business liability insurance for technicians, I should say. So there are some out there. So you need it. So, in continuing on with setting up the scene for the house, this is the point, where Jen had talked about earlier, like us holding and what's expected of us. I let them know that I work inside the house, preferably next to a couch, carpeted area, and also please have a spoon handy in that designated area for treats. And the reason why I say that is because I, in the beginning, would have a lot of clients say, "Oh, I thought you would have a van. Oh, you don't have one of those grooming tables." Like I had a lot of that in the beginning. So I believe this was one of the first things that went into it was letting them know I work in the house. I like to work in a carpeted area because it gives me traction. It gives the dogs traction. I like a couch because couches seem to have better restraint positions for me as far as putting the dog on the couch. I don't want the owner sitting on the floor either. I want them comfortable because if they're uncomfortable, I'm not going to come back. They're not going to want me back if they're uncomfortable. So I want them sitting on their couch or their chair. And then from there, usually I'm on the floor. So yeah, make sure if you're working inside the home, you inform them because I assure you, there's gonna be a lot of people who are just gonna assume that you have a grooming van because you're doing nails and anals. They assume you're a groomer. They assume you have the van. They assume you have the table. That happened a lot until I was like, nope. One of the first things that's going in that new onboarding form of mine.
Okay.
Yep. And then I also mentioned that I work inside the house because I've had a lot of people like, "Oh, it's such a nice day. Let's go outside." I'm like, "Oh, yeah. I hate that shit. I did it. Yeah, I know. They don't know I hate the outdoors. They're new. They don't know me."
Yeah, but even then, I mean, I love the outdoors, but I would still do it inside just like you.
Yeah. Yeah, I can tell you there's been some sweaty days. And then one day I was like, "I'm not doing this
So you
anymore,"
were doing it outside for a little bit
For
if
a
they
little bit.
wanted to?
Yeah, like maybe for like the first 2 summers. If they're like, "Yeah, it's a nice day." I'm like,
You're
"Oh my
like,
God, it's 100 degrees." I'm like,
okay,
"No, no."
maybe. I mean, no, because I mean, like, gosh, they could get stung by a bee. Like, there's
Yeah,
so many, like, a fast car could go by. Like, it's such an uncontrolled environment to do it outside.
yeah,
You want a
you're right.
controlled environment.
You're right. I do remember I wouldn't do it outside if they did not have a fenced-in backyard. Like, that was, like, that was, like, the first, like, okay, because I don't want a
That
dog
makes
getting
sense.
loose. Yeah, so, I mean, I remember I was like, "Okay, what do you got fenced-in backyard? Sure, not a problem." But then, like, I was kneeling in dirt,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and I don't like the freaking dirt, and I don't like bugs, and, there's ticks here in Michigan. And then, like you
Yeah.
said, it's uncontrolled environment. I'm like, there's no couches for me to, like, put the dog's butt up against because I often enough will put a dog's tushy up against a couch to kind of like brace them a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have that outside. And they're backing up. They're backing up. The
Mhm.
dogs are going in circles, like with the owner holding on. It just, after like 2 summers, I was like, this has got to go in there. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
So even now, when owner's like, oh, it's such a nice day outside, I'm like, we're working inside.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You're like,
and
"This'll
I'm
be
honest with
quick,
them.
and then you can go outside after
Yeah,
we're
and I'm honest with
finished."
them. I tell them I don't like the outside. I don't work well in the outdoors, and there's not a lot of wiggle room when it comes to positioning your dog. We're going to be struggling a lot. We need to utilize your furniture.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
I'm
I would
honest with
even
them.
just say too, just like, it's not a controlled environment out there. We wanna do this in a controlled environment just for safety reasons.
Yeah. You see, you put it so much better than me. I was straight up like, I don't like it outside. It's too hot. I don't want to go out there.
It would just make more sense to do it in a controlled environment for safety purposes.
I should have known you when I first started. Damn. Like, because I'm so like, my brain by now, the way it works. I'm just like, I don't like it outside. We're doing this inside.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been much more better taken by the client if I would have been like, this is a controlled environment. Like, I wish I would have thought about that. Yeah. This is why you're a good business owner, is because you can think of words like that and how to politely and delicately put things.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know where it came from.
It is a good gift. Yes. Yeah. I will move. I'll use that moving forward now. When I get those clients that still want to work outside, I'll probably get a couple of them in the springtime, and I'm going to remember this. This will probably be airing in the springtime, right around when the grass is like practically mud, but it's nice and people want to go outside. I'm going to be like, what did Jen say? Oh yes, a safe, controlled environment. So let's move on to the inside, please. Just like that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep. This is why we're here, everybody, to learn from each other. This is a
Mhm.
learning community.
Yes. Yeah,
All
exactly.
right. So that's it for dogs. They're simple, they're easy. The few things I do require, I don't think it's a lot to ask. We all know how Jen feels about cats. She loves them, but they're cats. She's not a cat lady like me. I do love cats. I'm more of a cat person than a dog person. So when I started onboarding cats, I started noticing cat behaviors that are different in their household versus what you'd see in a clinic. And I've had a lot of like cat mishaps too because, cats.
Mhm. Yeah.
And cat people were weird. And I'm a cat person. And so my onboarding form with cats is pretty particular. It took me a long time to get a system in motion with cats. So hopefully this is one of those things where something that took me a long time to learn, I'm going to pass along to you to help make it easier for you when you start your business or if you're just beginning it, because cats. So the first thing I tell all new clients with felines is I do require that all kitties must be secure by placing them in a bathroom with a towel or blanket so that they can be comfortable and lay on it. In addition, please shut all doors to escape routes, i.e., bedrooms, basements, anywhere the cat can escape to, even if we're in the bathroom. Because if we're in the bathroom and by any chance they get past me, I want all those exit routes still blocked off, because if they're upset that they're in the bathroom, the first thing they're going to do is go look for that bed to hide under, I assure you. And they're going to bolt out and go right to that bed, and then you're screwed. So, as an extra gate, have the bedroom and bathroom doors closed as well, even if the cats are in the bathroom in case they escape. On that note, once I get there, I always enter the bathroom first, because I've gotten to the point to where I know how to catch a cat real fast if they bolt out of a door. I immediately, I crack open the door a little bit. I try to see if the cat's on the sink or on the floor, and then I sneak in, and then once I have the cat, I shut the door right behind me, and then I make sure I'm holding on to the cat, and then I allow the owner to come, because in the beginning, so many times, an owner would walk in first, they would not expect their cat to bolt, and their cat would bolt. So now it's my rule. I go in first, you go in second. I want you in here with me, of course. I want you to be present, especially if your cat screams, because I don't want you thinking like I'm pulling your cat's leg
Yeah.
or something without you
Uh-huh.
here. So I want you here to witness all of it, but I just got to secure the cat first. So that is very important. That's non-negotiable. I fired a client over that one time.
Yes, we
Um,
talked about that
Yep.
on one of our episodes on
Yep.
how to
It's not.
when to fire a client and when to leave a clinic.
Yeah. But this one though, this one particularly, she did three things to, she was a three strike, you're out. And the last one was when she insisted on going into the bathroom first. And then she was like, they won't get past me, because she used to trap cats for TNR. So she thought she knew everything. And the cat ran out, bolted under the bed. And I was like, we're done here. I'm like, I'm never coming back. So
Yeah.
people will still try to do what they want to do, but you got to assure them, I am the professional. I do this all day long for a living. I see 30 to 40 appointments per week. I've been doing this for
Yeah.
5 years. You need to listen to me here. If, like,
Yeah, I do
you
this.
have to.
It's I mean, that's a no-brainer for anybody who's worked in the vet field in general. My first instinct, I think I brought a cat back into the treatment area, and I think I was going to give like an injection or sub-Q fluids, and I saw that our main door from to the hallway was open. And my first thought, I was like, "Okay, I'm going to close this door. You just you close all the doors when you bring a cat out into an open environment," because that's the first thing you think of. If they escape, we have to limit all the places that they can escape to, because that's what they do.
Hmm. Yep. They
So,
just run.
yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
It does. It makes sense. I feel like, as vet med people, all these things
Mhm.
make sense.
Yes.
But to clients, it's
Yeah,
like a foreign concept. And I get that,
right.
because you know what? And when clients, sometimes I'll have clients they're like, man, you know so much, I feel so stupid, or I can't believe you're so good at this. And I'm like, listen, you do this for a living, right? I'm like, you work on spreadsheets all day. I was like, you're good at that because you do it all day long. I was like, you can compute stuff in your head. I was like, I don't even know how to work an Excel sheet. I for real don't. So I always assure my owners that even though I look like a Giselle who is gracefully taking care of their animals, it's because I do it all day, every day, nonstop. And I'm like, what you do at your job, you're fabulous at. I can't do your job. I was like, this is why we're all here. So I always assure clients that's another, sweet way to be like, this is why I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. You don't tell me how to do my job. And it's a sweet way of putting it. Yeah. So, yes, cats in the bathroom always. I do have this part in because there are some cats where they get stressed in the bathroom. And you can tell they're stressed because you can hear them in their howling and vocalizing.
Yeah.
And that I feel is going to make them even more stressed out. It doesn't happen too often, but it does. Maybe 10% of the cats, when I show up, you can hear them just roaring in the bathroom because they're locked in there and they don't know why and they just don't want to be there. So I have in my onboarding
My
form
cats do that.
that you do. Okay, so yep, you would be like the next client coming up. This is what I would,
They don't like
come do
being locked
because
in a room.
yep, they don't. Some cats don't. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't blame them, but I gotta access you, buddy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so there's a compromise here to that part. I tell them if your cat is too stressed in the bathroom and they start to vocalize loudly, you may let them free roam, but you must block off any and all potential escape routes. Shut all of the doors to the bedrooms, basements, and other rooms. If they can hide under your furniture, you must roll up towels, blankets, and sheets to block them off from going underneath. That's important. So at that point, the cat's out in the open, it's free roaming. But if all the doors are shut to every room, and if you blocked off underneath the lazy boy chairs, if you blocked off underneath the sofas, so that way they can't run and hide up into there, then at this point, we should have a secure location. We should. And that's again only if cats are vocalizing and they're actively stressed in the bathroom. Because once they're in there, they're stressed, like there's gonna be no touching them. Like
Mhm. Right.
so some cats have to free roam. But again, you gotta lock all that shit up because I am not lifting your couch to get the cat out. I've done that too many times. I won't do it anymore. I know me and you talked about that's the one me and you talked about where my next client after that had Motrin 800s and she was like, here you go. And I was like, oh, thank you, Nicole. You saved my ass because I lift up that lady's couch for like the third time. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just not, if you refuse to put blankets and towels underneath of it, we have a problem because what happens if that couch falls on you too? Like,
Right.
I'm not, it's, yeah. So that's in there as like a strict policy. Um, and so I do also have in there, moving on, kitties get very stressed when removing them from their safe spot or hiding place, so it is important that we avoid this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's in there. And I added in the reason why we need to do it. That there's, I have my reasonings. We're reassuring the clients I have reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is a biggie. Please do not attempt to hold on to kitty as I'm walking in. This tends to stress cats out and can cause injury.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Oh, I could see that.
it's happened.
Bad.
Oh,
Well, yeah, I
mm-hmm.
mean, people do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Why do people do that? I don't understand. Or like people who bring in their cats to the vet clinic without a carrier and think that they're going to
Oh
be
God.
fine.
Oh God.
I just,
Mm-mm.
ah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
I can see why you would put that on your form because unfortunately people do that and they don't understand that yeah, the cat's going to freak out and stress out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if
Oh yeah.
you're a stranger.
Yeah. They hear you walking up the porch. The cats know somebody's coming to the house.
They want to
Like
escape. That's like their
they do.
instinct.
Yes. That's what they want to do. And cats don't like to be held anyway. Most cats don't. I had one lady, I will not forget it. I saw her twice. The first time it went well. I came back the second time and she didn't shut any of the bathroom doors. She told me just to come on in. So I did. I can't, when clients tell me just come on in, I will. But I always knock, of course. And so she said, doors unlocked, just come in. I did. As soon as I did, I walk in and I look over to the couch and there she is like grasping onto her cat and the cat is hissing and screaming and slapping back at her. And then I just say, let go. And the cat promptly bolts off and hides under the bed. This was my second time seeing her and my last time seeing her because I was pissed. And she was like, well, I thought that she would just sit here. I'm like, no, she's not. That's why I had you put her in the bathroom last time and she did great. But now she's hiding underneath your bed and you tell me we can't get to her, and I'm telling you we also can't get to her. I'm still charging you because I came all the way over here and you disregarded my instructions, and now we got a pissed off cat under a bed.
Wow.
So yeah, I after that I didn't come back because I was like, if she's blatantly gonna disregard my instructions like that, that's not the type of client I want. It's one thing if you forget, like, oh shoot, I forgot you did say that. I'm like, okay, as we discussed earlier, brain fog, baby brain. Like, if I have a client tell me they forgot and I can tell they forgot, it's forgiven. But if they blatantly say, "Well, I just thought," or "I thought I knew better," or that's when I'm like, "No, we're not doing this anymore." So I'm pretty firm on that.
And when you come and you're seeing these cats, are you mostly doing nail trims on these cats, or are you doing anything else on them?
Just anals and potty patches, usually that's it.
Oh, so
I don't do
shaving. So
anal
you're not
glands.
really trimming their nails.
Yeah, I'm trimming their nails.
Oh, you are? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you said for some reason I thought you said anals. So I was
I
thinking
think
you
I
meant
did say
anal glands.
anals.
I
No, I think I
thought
did say anals.
you
I'm sorry
did.
for anybody who's listening. I do not do anal glands on cats.
Okay,
That is right to a DVM. I won't touch a cat's ass. But usually 9 times out of 10, it's just nails with the occasional potty patch.
okay.
Yeah. And you know it, like, once they're under that bed, if we go in there with a broom and stuff, like,
They're gonna be
they're not gonna
so
let me touch them.
upset. Yeah,
Oh god, yeah.
yeah,
Oh god, yeah.
yeah.
So,
And then
yeah,
the experience is ruined, and then it's like, no, we don't want to correlate this with that because then it's always going to be bad every time. So no, I mean it makes sense.
exactly. Yep, exactly. And again, these are some of the things that, again, it took me just experiences to be like, I'm putting that in.
Are,
I'm putting that in
do you recommend with any of your patients like, oh yeah, this cat needs GABA? Talk to your vet. Put them on GABA. Do you do that a lot?
all the
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
All the time. Yep, I actually just had one today. I met her maybe a couple months ago, and I told her I doubt even with at-home medication I was gonna be able to touch this dog. And she actually just messaged me today. She was so nice. Oh, I really wanted her as a client. Oh my god, she was so cool. And she was like, Michelle, you were right. I took a Fido in, and he's gonna need to be like sedated, as in they gave him a shot, and then they had to wake him up. So I'm imagining Dexter
Oh
Warm.
wow.
Yep. And she was like, so unfortunately, that's what I'm gonna do once a month. And I agreed with her. And I was like, damn, she would have been such a cool client. I liked her so much. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's very common for me to be like, yeah, we're not, and they go back to
Okay.
the vet. Yeah, so it's not
Good.
common because safety is always my top priority. I love my mother very dearly, but she has a team of lawyers. Like, she would sue me and just be like, "Baby, I'm just doing business. I love you, but I'm suing your insurance company." Like, which is why I'm so protective, and which is why I watch everything closely, is because I watched my mom sue half the state of Kentucky at this point. Like, so I love you, mom, but she's crazy. She does it. So that's why I'm so like I make sure everything is laid out so that way nothing comes back to me. Like, that is my top priority, is just not getting sued. So yes, when it comes to situations like that, I'm like, it's not worth it. We're not doing it. We're going to your vet. Nope, won't touch it. I
Yeah.
just Yeah, there's been a few times where I've walked into a home and just looking at the cat or looking at the dog, I don't do anything. I'm like, just be $10 for gas today. And I'd refer them right back to their vet. So yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's smart.
So
Yeah.
yep. Better be safe
Okay.
than sorry. Yep.
Right. Yeah,
Um
exactly.
Yep. So yeah. Back end just don't hold on to cats. They will scratch you. They will absolutely. That was my first injury, as I did have a lady who, when I walked in the door, I just remember seeing orange cat arms flailing everywhere, and I told her, drop the cat. And as the cat went down, it scratched her thigh all the way down, and blood was everywhere.
Gosh.
Yeah. Luckily, she was cool. She was a human nurse. She was older, so I was really worried about the skin infection. But she patched herself right up. I came back, they say about 3 or 4 times after that, maybe once a quarter, and I would trim her cat's nails, and the cat was just fine in the bathroom. And to this day, like, me and her, she would giggle about it, and I would giggle about it too. But I thought for sure, I'm like, yep, here comes my first lawsuit. I'm like, this is it. This is it. But, she was cool about it. So that's why as soon as I walk in the door, if I see anybody holding on to a cat, I just say, drop the cat. And you better hope that you shut off all those escape routes. So that took a while for me to get that in there too. Is like, well, let's just not even try to hold on to cats anymore. We're just not going to do that. And then I go on to state, if any of these rules are not followed, you will still be charged the full amount of the appointment. I ain't messing around, people. Follow the rules. Safety. With cats, then I move on and I say, I will be doing all the holding myself, and I go to where Kitty is located, as they tend to get stressed when carried across the house. Jen, that's what you were talking about earlier. They get stressed when being carried. So I let them know that I will go to the cat wherever the cat's at. So if you choose to seclude your cat in the bathroom, I'll be going to the bathroom. So if you want to clean it up, I suggest you clean it up. Like, I've worked in some dirty bathrooms. It is okay. I've seen it all at this point. But yeah, I let them know that I will be going to where the cat is. So that way they're not like, oh, I can't bring the cat out to the living room. Nope, if your cat's in the guest room that has no bed, if that's where I'm going to that guest room.
Okay.
So yeah, again, I'm setting the scene for owners to know everything that's going to happen. That way there's no surprises.
Right.
To me, that's very important. We talked about already, Jen, the lady, yeah, who had me flip over her couch 3 times. Oh, Lord have mercy. Yeah, that was not good. And again, yeah, if an owner disregards any of my rules for the cats, that is always my big red flag.
Right.
That is, yeah, if you're not listening to me, big red flag. Usually I'll kind of exit after that. This one was added on about a year ago. I got really sick of this one. Is now I have in there just as a little thing towards the end. Please keep all noises to a minimum, as it can be distracting to the pets and they can also get stressed. I also hate having to scream over the TV and I just think it's rude. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah. And I mean, just me being who I am, I'm deaf anyway. It's really hard for me to hear. So, yeah, I would say TV's off. Maybe you can play very low background elevator music. That's why I wouldn't even recommend going outside because the first thing I thought of was, I get stung by a bee. And then the second one is like if a motorcycle drives by or a car revs its engine. It's just it's loud noises. It's distracting, it's hard to hear, and animals, they don't really like they don't do well in that type of environment anyway, with loud noises. Have you ever, like, suggested I know cats apparently do really well with classical music. There's been a study
I've seen those studies. Yeah.
on the hospital, and then, like, I think dogs like a different type of music, but even just in general, have you ever thought of suggesting something like that? Like, maybe an hour before you get there or half an hour or 20 minutes or something? Like, just put on calm, quiet background music?
I haven't thought about it, but hot damn, Jen, guess who's updating her onboarding form tonight?
That it
Yep.
might help.
You're exactly right. And I know that study that you're talking about. I heard that study a few years ago as well, where they said cats prefer classical music of any other genre. So it makes sense that if people really want to have something on the background, classical music.
I know that we do that, like, at one of the hospitals I do relief at, we have a cat ward, and we'll play classical music just in the cat ward for the cats that are being hospitalized.
I could
So,
see it. Yeah.
mhm.
I like that. That's actually a very good thing for me to put in. I can put that in there and I
Just as a
will. I
suggestion,
like
like, it
that.
doesn't have to
No,
be an
but it's a good.
obligation, but
No, it is a good, but it's a solid suggestion though.
mhm,
Like it is, and people do like to have like I always had the Golden Girls going on in the background just because it's comforting to me. I keep it on while I clean the house,
mhm.
So if an owner wants that, but then I'm telling them to turn off the TV, I think this is a good compromise in the middle,
Yeah,
and it
and
helps
just
the
make sure
cats.
that they have it on low, though.
Low. That's why I say minimum. Yeah, keep all noises to a minimum. But no, seriously, that is going to be going into my contract now. See, like, again, we're all here to learn. I learned from Elise. I've learned from you. And if anybody else has any suggestions, like let me know because I'm always open to make my business better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's a lot of it came from I got sick of having to talk over the TV. And
Yes,
I would
I can see that.
start purposely elevating my voice. I'm like, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, what'd you say? I couldn't hear you over the news. Can you repeat that? And then I also felt like it was rude to walk in and be like, can you turn your TV down, please? Like, I'm coming to your home. I don't want to be bossing you around telling you to turn your TV down. After a bit, maybe a year and a half ago, I put that part in because I'm like, I can't stand this. And it is mainly the older generation. They can't hear. They don't realize how loud it is. They still keep it on. And I'm just like, "Hey, let's turn it off, please." So, yeah, it was just distracting, and so I just threw that part in there.
Yeah, and I've always found that people whose homes I've gone to visit, if they always have, like, music playing in the background, but it's at a low, it's just like it's a little bit more calming, like, there's just, like there's it's kind of like a more calming vibe just in the house in general. So, that's just something that I've noticed just in general, and I always love music. I always love having music on in the background, even if it's low. I just personally. So, I don't know, it might help.
It will, no, it is, and it's gonna yeah, I like that, and you're right, it does kind of give a calming vibe and a nice atmosphere to have music on, and probably not my type of music, but, like, calming, happy,
Well, like, yeah, if it's classical music or, like, if you think
yeah,
about even Christmas time, like, a lot of people, like, will just have, like, low Christmas music playing in the background all the time, and it's just
my
like, it's
husband
just
does.
nice. Yeah, see,
Yeah,
it's nice though,
he
right?
likes it.
Like,
Yeah.
so maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Well, everybody, I think Jen just gave us all a good pointer there. Put on classical music for the kitty cats.
Yes.
So that in a nutshell is like how I set up the scene for cats and dogs. If anybody has any questions, let me know. If anybody has any suggestions, please let me know.
Yeah.
I want to hear them. And it's almost to the end of the contract, just a few more things. I also let them know that I will send a confirmation message the day before. They need to respond no later than 8 p.m., or their appointment will be automatically forfeited. And then it goes on to say, once again, because I want to tell people some things I want to tell multiple times to make sure it gets across, I will send you another 2 messages as I make my way. That whole 8 p.m. mark, put in a cutoff time for your confirmations and do that soon. I had a couple people to where I would tell them, oh yeah, your appointment's between 2 to 4 tomorrow. I'm just confirming our appointment. And then at like 1:30, they would say, "Oh, yes." I'm like, "No, mm-mm. Yeah, it's happened a few times. I had another lady who I think I had her between 2 and 4, and I did not hear back from her until like 3 o'clock. And she's like, "Oh, yes, confirmed. My husband and son are waiting for you." I'm like, but then I look back, but I never told them you need to confirm by a certain time. So at
Right.
that point, I'm like, okay, some of this lies on me, right? So like that,
You have to
and
be
I was
specific sometimes with
Yep,
people.
you have to be specific. You really, really do. Because if you're not, that's when you're not going to set yourself up for success. And I
Right.
look back at that client, and even though like she didn't answer me until like the halfway mark of her appointment, I was like, I already drove past your house. So there's nothing I can do. Like in all reality, if I would have had it in my time, or my contract, you need to have it in by a certain time or else it's forfeited. I think it was after her that I did that. I
Yeah.
think that was client number 2 or 3 that I'd done that. I'm like, "Nope, this is now going in." 'Cause like Jen said, you have to be specific, you have to lay these things out, because at some point you have to look at yourself and be like, "Why did they think that? What did I do?" And then I'm seeing
Right.
these things that I'm like, "Oh, I need to" yeah, so make sure you have a cutoff time for your confirmations. I feel like that's super important because, yeah, I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, shoot, you're just now confirming? Hang on, let me do a Ewing, turn around." That's not
Right.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, yeah, again, I'm letting them know that I will be updating them as I go. Okay. Towards the very end, one of the last things on my onboarding form, I read somewhere, I think it was in college, I learned about the learning curve, I think it was called, where people tend to, if they're reading something, memorize the first part and the last part more than the middle, and the middle kind of gets jumbled up, which is why I put the most important stuff at the top, what forms of payment I accept. And then at the very end of it, my cancellation policy. Because if they're going to remember 2 things, it's going to remember you got to respect this cancellation policy, and you got to know how to pay me. Um, so I have in my onboarding form that I do have a cancellation policy. So if anything comes up and you need an accommodation on arrival time or reschedule, let me know 40 hours in advance. But what I don't do is put the specifics of my cancellation policy on there. And that is because I leave it open ended. That way I can decide what I want to do with that client. So I purposely left out the details of it. I don't know if that's kind of slimy, like a slimy
No, because I
business.
think, everybody's different, right? And there's a different situation. I mean, we even do that in VetMed. You cannot necessarily treat every case so black and white. You can't do that in medicine in general. You have to treat every case individually, and it's not gonna be so cut and dry every single time. So I completely agree because I see the same way, like I said, in vet med with every specific case. if you leave it so black and white every single time, then you're not using your critical thinking skills, you're not using your sympathetic or empathetic skills, you're not letting life just be and then making your good judgment based off of that individual case. So I completely agree with that.
Okay, thank you.
I
I
hope that makes
appreciate that.
sense.
Okay. It no, it absolutely makes sense because the reason why I leave it like that is because there's been times where a new client would say, "Oh yeah, I totally forgot. I'm going out to lunch with my friends. Can you actually come at this time?" Well, and let's say that they've had some other red flags during the onboarding process, and I'm starting to get the, they're pushy here, text me 4 times in a row there, whatever. If I got other red flags going on and now I got this, I know I don't want to see this person. So what I'll do is like my hammer, I should call it, that will instantly get a client to fire themselves is I say, okay, well, per my onboarding form, I have a cancellation policy. So now that this is a last minute cancellation due to a non urgent matter, you must pay for today's appointment plus prepay for your next appointment before I book you. And that always scares them off every time. And I know it's going to happen. And I do that with intent because at that point, I don't want to see that person. They've
Mhm.
already given me red flags. They dismissed my schedule. They wanted to go shopping instead. Just something silly like that is where I'm like, oh no, you're paying for both these appointments. Now we're not playing that game. I don't want to see you. This is how I make you fire yourself. And I hold them accountable and I point them right back to my cancellation policy. If it's like a client who I see, I know, then I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll see you next month. It depends on the relationship I have with the person and
Yes.
I adjust it accordingly.
Yes.
And most people agree with it, but the ones that don't, I know they weren't going to take me seriously or my business seriously, and it was going to be a chronic behavior because that's what I've noticed over the past several years. Or the people who, oh, I got lunch. Oh, shopping. Oh, I forgot. I didn't put it on my calendar. Like when I start hearing that stuff, that's when I start hammering down cancellation policies or try to get them to fire themselves because it's just going to continue on down the road. I promise you, it doesn't just stop at one appointment, you guys. I promise. The first impression is like the biggest impression you're going to get of them. So
Right.
that's why I'm like,
You
no.
can tell the difference between the people that are going to take advantage of you and the ones that life is just happening.
Yes.
And it's just something's going on. So I think that that's fair in every aspect of you cannot treat something so black and white sometimes. You have to give yourself the grace and give your clients or or whoever you're working with the grace of saying, I trust my judgment enough to know what I'm going to allow.
Yes.
I mean, I even
You
just told
said
you
that so
before
good.
we were even recording, that I stayed late this weekend on a contracted job and I was like, and I don't stay late ever.
Mm-mm.
I don't do that. But I was more than happy to stay late for this particular reason and for this particular clinic because th- they're not taking advantage. I know the difference between a clinic that's going to take advantage and a clinic that's not going to take advantage. And I have something to back that up at the same time. So, it's fair.
Yep. Which is in your contract, which,
And
right?
yeah, and us as business owners have every right to decide that. It's our business.
You can choose who you want to work with or not. Just because you own a business doesn't mean you have to take all business.
Yep.
Like, because my one of my biggest fears for vet techs who want to do relief work or mobile work, and I know this was talked about a lot in Kim Garner's episode, are the yes to anything. Yes, 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 yes. And then they don't recognize bad signs. They don't recognize people taking advantage, whether it
Right.
be an office manager or a client. And then you get burnt out because all these people have burned your cookies. So now you're just like, I'm done. So that's the reason why we have these protocols in place. Like, Jen's not going to stay later than 30 minutes. You better not cancel on me. Like, we have these things in place because we've learned over the years of like, oh, this might happen. I got to change those. And again, like Jen said, there's always exception to the rules. I had some clients who were open and honest, and they're like, Michelle, I'm going through chemotherapy right now. Like, I got some stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, I will work around you, which is what I did. I had a very lovely client go through chemo and radiation. And I was like, hey, how you feeling? If she told me she was feeling bad a couple hours prior to her appointment, no problem. I'll swing by next month, next week, because she was open and she really was very sick. And she's doing good now, which yay. But at the time, she was very sick and very ill, but she let me know. And I'm like, okay, whatever you want. You when you're feeling better, we'll get you right back on track. Right now, we'll just hold on to our ass and try to get you in when we can get you in. It's all about being there for the good ones. Like Jen said, she wanted to help this clinic out. She liked them. Just like with my client who had chemo. I liked them. I understood what they were going through. There was no cancellation policy. She could have canceled on me 10 minutes prior and I've been like, oh, you're vomiting? No, no worries, dear. I'll see you next month. I'll get you in next week. We're fine. It's like what you did. It depends on the person and if
Right.
they're going to take advantage of you. So that's pretty much the end of it, with the exception of my disclaimers that I feel like should be in everybody's contract. You acknowledge that I am not a veterinarian, and in accordance with state and federal laws, I cannot diagnose, prescribe medications, give a prognosis, or perform surgeries. These services must be for blah, 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 blah. It's getting to be late. Sorry, guys. These services must be performed through a licensed veterinarian. That way, they all know I'm not going to come up here and neuter the cat. It's just not going to happen. I wish I could, but I can't. I feel like that'd be great money for us technicians if they did open our license to that. Because I can neuter a cat faster. I can tie my shoe if I was given the chance. I've never done it before. Same. And then also, I do not hold Michelle Crew nor her business LLC listed. Are not responsible for any injuries to the caregivers, animals being treated, or other people or animals in the household resulting from the visit. The caregivers do not hold Michelle or her business LLC responsible for any injuries arising or related to services, including damages to private property. So it's just me covering my ass. And those are at the very, very end of the onboarding form. Hey, I cannot prescribe, diagnose, do surgery. And if you get injured, it's on you, buddy. But I still have my insurance
Mm.
just to back me up, just because it's still needed. But important stuff at the top, important stuff at the bottom. Whatever's not important, put in the middle, because that stuff you can worry about later. You know, you can tell them to turn the TV down when you get there. You can tell them to put the collars and harnesses on when you get there. But if they're going to remember the first and the last, put those at the important thing. And again, I don't know where I remembered that in psychology in a college course, but something I learned way back in 2007 and somehow
Yeah.
retained it all these years.
Yeah. I feel like I personally too, on my onboarding form, just with everything that you've talked about and described, I feel like I would just even just say for extra, just I don't know, I would just be like, I please respect my time, like, because I will respect your time. I just ask for the same in return. Because I mean, in all honesty, I feel like the majority of what you're asking is just to respect your time and your business. And so, and that's why I would just be like, respect my time and I will respect your time. That's all I ask. So,
Pretty much, yeah. Like, you respect me, I'll respect you. If you disrespect me, I'm not going to see you. Like,
right.
respect my time, respect my knowledge, respect what I'm bringing into your house. And for me, that's a lot of it. What it does boil down to is respect. I guess this onboarding form wasn't made, day 2 of my business.
Right.
It was trial and error. Each one of these has a story of
Right.
why it's in there. I didn't tell every story because we would have been here till midnight, but
Yeah.
I told the important ones of why these things need to be in there.
Right.
And I acknowledged that in the beginning, because I was a new business, I didn't think to put these things in there. Like,
Right.
I
You
didn't
learn
think
as
I
you
should.
go.
You learn as you go. Exactly. And I'm still learning. I'm going to put in my thing now. Hey, play classical music if you want some background noise on. Studies have indicated cats like it. And not to mention, if I put it that way, owners will think I'm really, really smart because I'm listening to studies about cat behavior. So that actually might make me look better
Yeah.
too. So that's another
Mhm.
reason why it's going to go in the contract. But yeah, it's things like that where you learn over time. And, if you can avoid those situations where you look back, you're like, "Oh, that part's on me. And now I potentially may have lost a good client because, I left something open. I didn't tie up all my ends. Hopefully, these are some ends that'll help you tie up your contract if you're in the beginning of becoming a mobile vet tech.
Yeah. I think this was an awesome episode. I loved hearing everything that you have on your contract. I was really curious myself just because this is not something that I do. And I personally wanted to know more about it too and what your specifics were. So this is great. I think people are really gonna love this episode. I think that have been waiting for episodes like this just because, like you said, they want to know what you do specifically and compare it to maybe what they already have or maybe something that they should add on that they haven't thought of. And yeah, this is great. This is a great episode.
Good. I can't wait to hear yours. We're going to be doing, I don't know, we're not sure yet, but Jen's might be going first, airing, and then mine will be going second, but we're recording mine first. And I'm excited to hear what Jen says because I got a feeling I'll be taking notes on her wording, and then I'm going to go back to my contract and reword it so I sound like smooth and professional the way she is.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
you are. You're good with your words. Like you're very good. So I'll be taking notes during your episode of like, ooh, I need to say, I need to change my harsh words into gent smooth words. Yeah. So yours is gonna be great too.
Yeah, mine will be my contract of, when a vet clinic contacts me for work, I just have a contract that I have them fill out, just basically letting them know what they should be expecting out of me and what I expect in return. So, essentially the same thing as what Michelle does, just in a clinic setting. So, yeah, that'll be exciting. That'll be great. I just want to say, anyone who's listening to this, if you yourself own your own business and your contract is like completely different from Michelle's, or you have a lot more insight too, that would be helpful. We would love to hear from you, and possibly we would love to interview more business owners who do have their own contract and just kind of get ideas from you guys as well. So if that is something that you guys are interested in, just go ahead and hit us up, and we'll see what we can do and just see if we can get these type of conversations going just so we can help out other business owners.
Exactly. Yeah. And not one business is going to be the end all be all.
Exactly.
Everybody's going to have so many different ideas to bring to the table. Like we all are. So to have,
Yeah.
if somebody were to write in and say, oh, I put this in my contract,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
don't
we
want to
would
be
make
on
a
the show,
whole
I'm too scared. I would be like, yeah, let's shout them out in a salute or something, right? Like I would just put it out there. Like,
yeah, I think
yeah.
just in general, like if there's something that Michelle didn't mention or something that I don't mention in my relief contract that you guys have on your contracts that you think would be really helpful for other people, just send it in. And then we can either dedicate a whole episode to all of your guys' suggestions, or we can just pop them in as part of our intros too for our episodes. So
Be a great idea, like a whole segment on what relief techs and mobile techs put in their contracts or any
yeah,
other business,
and what they
pet
suggest.
sitting. Yeah,
Yeah,
what they
we'd love to
suggest.
hear from you
Oh
guys.
my God, I'd love to do a whole episode on that. Yes, tell us,
Yeah.
people. We'll get it together.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. We just want to help each other out. That's the whole point of this podcast. So, right in. Hmm. All right. All right, you guys. Well, I hope you really enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed this episode. I loved hearing all this insight from Michelle. She's so informative. We will talk to you guys next time.
bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to Endless Journeys, the Vet Tech Odyssey podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found some valuable insights. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave us a review and let us know what you think. You can also connect with us on all social media platforms at Endless Journeys, the Vet Tech Odyssey podcast. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making a positive impact in the veterinary world. We need you guys. Have a great day.